team and the folks around you in the organization to actually come up with the solutions and with the game plan. And all your leadership really is tying that in a bow and giving the go ahead for that to all happen. So many times you can find yourself in a situation where, as the leader, you're wrapped up in that fear, you're wrapped up in the scare, you're wrapped up in the stress, and you end up manifesting that towards your team, and you get less productivity and less, and worse solutions than. Whereas if you're able to sort of be more mindful, be in touch with your emotions at that moment and say, okay, I'm human just like everyone else is. I'm in the role where I'm supposed to help everyone sort of come up with a consensus and a plan and move forward with it. And I don't have to do all of that, right? I can allow others to flourish and others to be empowered to come up with the solutions, to find the answers within themselves. Many times it's even on a one-on-one, a direct report or even a colleague, will confide in you or complain about something. And the initial reaction is to try to help and to try to fix and to try to solve. But that's not really mindful. That's more ego and allowing yourself to sort of take this person on a journey within themselves for them to come up with their own answer and to empower them to, figure that out. Really it comes from a place of mindfulness and self-awareness and humility that you're just there to sort of help assist. And then once the answer is found, to sort of give the go ahead to go down that path.
It's when I think about this idea of leadership, I think of this visual that my friend Shaquille actually shared with me. He was actually in the Dubb Action Online Summit, and he had this beautiful visual of, as a leader, there's a glass on one side, and then on the other side there's a mirror. Okay, and when it comes to appreciation and giving happiness or giving some sort of accolades for accomplishments, we're looking through the glass. We're looking at our team. Here we are. This is not in a high tower looking down. This is in a small room looking at a magnificent, comfortable room with our team. And then on the other side, of course, is the mirror, where when things go bad, we look at ourselves. And what a powerful visual to really kind of root ourselves into humility, into gratitude, into a lot of the things that you're talking about.
It's funny you mentioned that. A little bit of a sidestep, but I have my colleagues know this about me. I have a strong belief that as a leader, you only are supposed to compliment and empower your reports, and you save the criticism and the blame for your bosses. So you sort of like in order to empower, your people to have faith and trust in you, they need that positive reinforcement constantly. And then you channel all of that, improvement that needs to be done only upward, not downward. And so when you are looking into sort of blaming it, you don't channel it towards your team and your colleagues, you channel it to the people who can actually help.
Yeah. What an interesting balance of pointing out failures or pointing out challenges. I've kind of tried to find the balance in the most authentic way in my career of saying, this is not fair, sounding like a victim maybe, or, this person messed up, or doing that, or on the vice versa, saying I messed up. This was my failure. I should have done a better job on this. And I feel like if you live within either realm, too close on either side on that spectrum, you do come off either as a victim, or you come off as someone that is the opposite of that, like a know-it-all or arrogant, or even potentially someone that's always constantly self-deprecative, like you're never satisfied. Do you have a limiting belief? Do you feel like you're not worthy of just saying, it's actually not my fault. I did a great job. So what a challenge to find that balance. How would you recommend that, as team members, we can find our balance on where to live within that spectrum?
It's a constant challenge, as you say. I think that it's about, and this is sort of where I think nature and mindfulness and traveling and getting out of the office can help with all of this. When we live in the moment, and it sort of goes back to the beginning also, when we live in the moment, it's very easy to not find that balance, and very easy to react from within the moment of our minor view. But I love looking at a national park as sort of an example for the ecosystems that we live in the professional world every day. You know, you mentioned before the show about the Tai Chi and the river and the rock. I want to expand on that a little bit, right? You have a river, you have mountains, you have trees, you have fish, you have wolves and lions, and then you have also the deer and the buffalo, and you have the beavers, and sort of every element of the park plays a role into the greater ecosystem. But you may not necessarily see it or understand it in the moment, but when a devastating event happens, then you can see how sort of that played into other events. And not to go down too far down this path, but I think that, on a day by day and a case by case basis, it's important to always reflect on, we may not have all the facts in front of us in this moment. And in order to get all those facts, you sort of have to take a step back. So there's no right answer to any situation. It's more about reflecting on how an ecosystem works and what in this moment does it call for, right? If for example, if an employee makes a mistake, they made a mistake, right? You can't just say, oh, I'm being mindful and humble and like it's all good and whatever. You do have to find that balance of highlighting how improvement can be done there, or solutions can be implemented so these things don't happen again. But you also have to have that balance of, well, why did that mistake happen? And is it truly on the employee fully, or are there other things that as a leader I can take to the general company or to the other parts of the team or to other things to help ease that those mistakes shouldn't happen again? There's no one person to blame for anything. There's a culmination of events to blame for everything. And there's a culmination of events that help for success of everything. And realizing that there's a wider ecosystem that contributes to all of this is very helpful. I think also, understanding that people on an individual day come with their set of stresses and baggage and things like that can contribute to how they act, and how you translate that sort of is going to dictate how you handle it and how you approach that case also. So again, being able to, remove yourself from the office, step out and have some time to reflect within yourself and not just be stuck in that go. You tend to forget that they're just humans also who are living their lives. And there are things that they bring to the professional environment with them as well, that can contribute to all of these different things that are going on. So sort of the action item I would try to highlight is back out of the moment, and try to see if there are examples or alter realities that you can sort of compare to the situation that you're in. Because when you look at it from that alter reality, you have a lot easier time understanding all the pieces that come to play together, and then you can sort of translate that back to your situation at the time.
You mentioned how the pieces play together, and I can't help but think about how life is a chessboard, in fact, and how we're navigating life and we're making moves. And of course, in business, we're doing it in an empathetic way, in a value first way. It's not just trying to crush our opponents. But what I will say is that in our meetings, as leaders, one of the things that I always think about is, what is plan B? What is plan C? What is plan D? If something fails, if something goes wrong, what's going to happen? How are we going to handle that? Are we all just going to come here with our tails between our legs and say we failed and we messed up and figure out who we're going to point our fingers at? Or are we going to be proactive instead of reactive and get ahead of that problem? So, some folks might say to plan for failure, and then you can never really fail because you kind of thought it out. So, it's this idea of reactive versus proactive leadership. What is your take on that?
I want to step back to your chessboard for a second, because I've been thinking about this recently. The life is a chessboard, but here's the thing: we don't all see the entire chessboard at all times, and we don't exactly know how the game is going to play out. Mm-hmm. I think chessboard sort of brings it down to, we can see that there are many different plays, but we don't know which play is going to happen. the thing is we don't see the whole chessboard. And I think that's a big mistake, is a lot of times, especially in leadership, we think we know the chessboard. We think we know all of the pieces at play. But as organizations get larger and larger and larger, and I've watched this happen. I came into a company when we were 15 employees. We're close to 400 now. As organizations get bigger and bigger, it's very difficult to have your eye on all of the pieces of the chessboard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of where mindfulness comes in, and that humility comes in, that you have your chessboard and you can sort of plan your moves and plan for failure and plan for, plan Bs and plan Cs. But you have to be open to understand that you don't have the whole chessboard, and there are other factors in an organization that can come into play that can completely undo all of the pieces that you had on the table. With regard to proactive leadership and reactive leadership, I almost want to say that assuming that you can set yourself up to never failure by having a plan B and plan C is almost egotistical, and understanding that you have to be fluid, you have to be open to mistakes and learning from what happened and allowing your team to express their different opinions will most likely help you get to the most amicable place. And I think something something that I read in a book years ago, I don't even remember which book, was a successful leader doesn't talk in a meeting. You sort of let everyone else do the talking. And so one thing that I implement in all of my meetings is I'm the last guy to give an opinion. If we have a situation at hand, I want everyone to give their opinion. And I sort of, instead of me sort of setting the stage for where I want that opinion to go, I ask, what do you think we should do? What do you think we should do? And then there are some that are shy and they don't want it. And I'm like, no, we need your opinion because we also want you to be on board with whatever plan we execute. And so then you get a collective room full of opinions and thoughts of how we should do things. Now, many times I find I actually disagree with all of them. And that's where I'm able to implement more mindfulness and say, well, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Because if the team is the one who comes up with the solution or the path forward or the game plan or whatever it might be, then the team owns it. And when it does fail, the team doesn't feel like they failed because they were told what to do and they disagreed with it and they have a chance to do it. They don't feel like it's a failure. They all feel like they gave it a fair shot. And now we're going to get back in the room and we're going to figure out what our sort of next step is. And I think it's important for leaders to allow your team to do that, because the more that they feel like they own the decision and like they own the path, the more they're empowered to take on other steps and to take on other projects. And actually, surprisingly, you'll find that very rarely do you as a leader ever get the chance to be like, I shouldn't have listened to them. I was right. I should have insisted on my plan. Usually you'll find, wow, they're actually a pretty smart bunch and they figured it out and they got the job done well. So I'm a big fan of allowing the sort of situation to evolve and allowing the collective team to figure out what the step-by-step basis is. Many times also what I find is that allowing the team to talk sort of gives me more ideas that may layer onto my idea or may layer onto their idea. And while I may not lay out the plan B and plan C during the sort of planning event, because we had the whole roundtable conversation and my opinion never even came out necessarily, I already, when I say, all right, let's go forward with this and this, I sort of know where that plan B and plan C is going to be. But I don't want the team to feel like this is going to be a failed mission that we have to plan for it. So it's sort of something you keep in your back pocket. And then you're more prepared if you do need to pull out a plan B or plan C. So I would say it's a mix, again, a balance. It's not about planning for failure. It's about planning for success and planning for empowerment and planning for a collective win. And as a leader, knowing that you always have to be nimble and ready to, change course and bring something else into the playbook.
Nice, man. Well, thank you so much for that. And thank you for being in the Dubb Action Online Summit. Lenny, if you could please tell us where folks can learn more about you, about your business. Love to get some socials here.
Definitely. So I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me, Lenny Rabin. I got a very distinctive background photo with some pink balloons in the back. So pretty easy to find me there. And then, always email me, lennyrabin@gmail.com. I work for a company called Protege. You can find us at protege.com. PRODEGE.com. We're a full suite of marketing solutions, both in the market research space and in the performance marketing and direct to consumer e-commerce space. We help businesses grow their businesses. And on our consumer side, we help our members create more rewarding moments and add value to their day-to-day life. So excited to talk to anyone who wants to chat. And thank you guys for having me here.
Thank you so much for the time.
This is awesome.
Great interview. Thank you.